and I'll be right back.
You know, hip-hop changing from positive to negative was not a consequence of history. It was not a circumstance of history. It was nothing that just happened on its own. It had nothing to do with the changing of the times. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that there are people in this particular society who wants to see us exactly where we are. And we cannot elude that, let that point elude us. These are the facts. How do we know? 1967, Kerner Commission report on urban disorder. When black people said, yo, we're tired of this system. You know what I mean? The system is oppressing us. So we rebelled against the system. We burned things. We said, yo, we had enough. He did his little report on what caused these riots. He said, what caused these riots? He said it was young children who started these riots, and what was motivating them was a high self-esteem and an enhanced racial pride. He said the majority of the rioters were high school dropouts, but they had a higher political orientation than their peers who did not drop out. And they saw the system as their enemy, so they attacked it in the right circumstance. So, fast forward to 1992. Same thing. Number one record on the radio, we had Fight the Power. Fight the Power is on the radio. Rodney King gets beaten before the world. The black youth rebelled against the system. Again, they did it again. And why? What primed them? Positive hip-hop primed them. Fight the Power, X-Clan, Brand Nubian. You had these groups out here who were politically orienting black kids in the right direction, giving them the proper promptings that they needed so that they can respond properly to oppression. Alright? In 1967, when the riots happened, he saw that the self-esteem and the racial pride was fueling this. So he said, how do I bring that down so that they will not riot? And what he did, he flooded the airwaves with black exploitation movies. Nigga Charlie and the Return of Nigga Charlie. These were movies. Hip-hop didn't start calling people niggas. We had Shav. We had Coffee. Black girl turned prostitute to do whatever, you know what I mean? But these black exploitation movies brought down the self-esteem and racial pride so that the kids will not rebel against this system of oppression. 92, the racial pride was back in effect. We had black kids going to Dr. Ben Yuckin lectures. We were spending our money to go see Farrakhan speak as opposed to going to a strip club. This is where we were. The most coveted article of clothing was a historically black college or university sweater. We were motivating children towards positive attitudes and lifestyles. And when Rodney King got the beating, has responded properly. Fast forward to our day. Sean Bell is shot 50 times in the street in New York by police officers. Number one song on the radio, Like a Lollipop. Nobody do nothing. Nobody responds to nothing. Trust me. Just like the brother, I believe it was JT, the bigger figure, who said that the label executives came to him and said, yo brother, we need you talking about guns and horse. Right. You know what I mean? That's right. That happens. I've been in those meetings with management and has asked me, is what you're saying really what you believe? So that we'll know how to market you properly. You know what I mean? This happens. Young Buck on his album, he has a song on his album that talks about police terrorism. The label said absolutely not. Jimmy Iovine said absolutely not. You cannot put that record on the album because it might create an atmosphere that might put police officers' lives in danger. Right. So they took the record off, but they let him keep the other 14 songs on the album that talked about killing black youth. So this is what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a circumstance or consequence of history. You know what I mean? The environment that we're embedded in puts us in a situation where we feel we have to maneuver and play the game and water our message down. You know what I mean? But no, what happened was they intentionally shifted the paradigm to get us exactly where we are right now. Right now, we're feeding the prison industrial complex right now. Our kids are going to prison because they're promoting these records. They're promoting these records daily that send us to jail. You know what I mean? It's cool to go to jail. You know what I mean? They glorify these things. And it's not the black youth. We're in a position where we get, like the brother said, the choice. You know, he said, yo, I chose the positive. So I didn't do it. But every youth is not going to take that route. I know. I come from the projects. Grew up in the projects all my life. You know what I mean? And we're not turning down $500,000 to say nigga. We're not going to do it because we won't turn down $200 to take a package of crack from one corner to the next. You know what I mean? We live in a state of poverty and one of all things. So it's hard for us to make that. Our judgment is clouded. And they knew that the judgment would be even more clouded if they took groups like X-Clan off the radio. This is just what it is. And until we start to deal with the environment that's shaping the behavior, we'll never get to the next one. We have to confront that. Thanks.
White supremacy is insidious. It uses our culture against us. They use hip-hop against us, fed us a bunch of bullshit instead of empowering our minds, and we all fell for it. It's a crazy coincidence that the numbers of private prisons went up as soon as gangster rap came out. When you go down that rabbit hole, I'm hoping with social media, apps like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even X, can start waking people up. I used to always say I can't stand the mumble rappers because you can't understand anything they're saying. So what message are they giving to the youth? It definitely wasn't empowerment, self-confidence, or pride. It's a bunch of dudes up there mumbling and getting paid millions of dollars to do it. Millions of dollars to keep us docile. And it worked. Until now.
Hey, give me control of the nation's music, and I care not who makes its laws. Yeah, Think about it. You heard what the young man just said. Now, that's a quote that's pretty much unknown. They don't know if it was quoted by Plato or Socrates or maybe neither. It's kind of unknown, but it's been used in music, but it has a lot of power to it. If you just think about it, give me control of the nation's music, and I care not who makes its laws. What if you control both the music and the laws? Let's get started. This is Jay coming back at you from K&J What 5HT channel on YouTube. Yeah, well, we do a lot of talk around here. You know that what acronym stands for World Health, Academia, and Times. And those H's, the 5HT, is when you don't want to deal or stomach the truth. The truth can be hard. The truth is known to hurt. However, the truth helps. It's healthy. Ultimately, the truth heals if you allow it to do so by accepting it. Man, we've been a long way. We've been doing a lot of things. We had a millennial talk on the last post. I think it was pretty good. I might pick back off a little bit of what we talked about, not just a lot. I just want to maybe highlight one thing that Mr. Fred talked about as far as when it came to the homeschooling of his children. And we know where we are today, man. School is something different, I would say. Very different. However, I want to talk about how we came to get here as far as in the educational arena. We're dealing with academia mostly today. Like I said, we talk about a lot. We're going to deal with academia because I thought this topic was very interesting, and I think it needs to be heard. It might sound controversial. It might sound as if I'm challenging the status quo. However, like I say on this channel, I just present things to stimulate your thinking. I want you to think. And I want you to analyze, observe things, do some critical thinking logically, and then collectively see where you end up. Let's begin our conversation about the U.S. and its educational system. We're going to start with an interesting figure here by the name of John D. Rockefeller. Very familiar name to people all the way across the board. When I say across the board, I'm talking about we deal with the generational gap here. And generationally, JDR or John D. Rockefeller is well known. And his family as well came to be the people that pretty much ran this country. Top 1%, I'll say. The top 1%. And they did a lot of things. They did a lot of things. And this is what he started with. 1903. Now we're going to deal with a generation we don't talk about a lot, which is considered the greatest generation from 1901 to 1927. We're going to roll it all the way up to where we are. And we're going to be dealing with the silent generation, which is 1928 to 1945, which brings us to the baby boomers from 1946 to 1964, crossing over to the Gen Xers, our latch and key generation from 1965 to 1980, and our great millennials from 1981 to 1996, rolling on over into our Gen Zers from 1997 to 2012 to Gen Alpha, and on our way to Generation Beta. They got this thing rolled out. Let's start with John D. Rockefeller, JDR. In 1903, John D. Rockefeller founded the General Board of Education. I'll say the General Educational Board, and he invested like $180 million into the endowment of this thing, right? And if you look at $180 million back then in 1903, it would be pretty much compatible to $6 billion in today's time. Now, why would John D. Rockefeller do such a thing? Well, he was a philanthropist, and a philanthropist, those are people that call themselves doing goodwill for the people. That's what a philanthropist do, goodwill to follow members of the human race, especially active efforts toward promoting human welfare. So that's what he was, a philanthropist. So, and it was all supposed to be in the good of progress and charity, charitable. That's what philanthropists do. They donate money. So however, he donated this large sum of money, and he started this General Educational Board. And the General Education Board set up the system that we presently live in today and work by as far as the education arena. Now let's read what was in some of their annual reports or writings from this board. Now, however, now I want to say now, JDR, John D. Rockefeller, he funded this particular system or program. So now you got a board that works under you. Of course, he had a lot to do with selecting the board members. We're more than certain of that. So let's start out with what they say. This is an interesting read right out of their annual report or their charter. Just think. I want you to listen closely to what I'm about to read, and this is actually in their writings. These are their set goals, or one of them. It says, in our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hands. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or men of science. We are not to raise among them office of educators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statesmen, of whom we have ample supply. The task we set before ourselves is very simple. We will organize children and teach them in a perfect way to do things their father and mothers are doing in an imperfect way. In our dreams, we have limited resources, they said. And they said, because the people are going to yield themselves with perfect docility. Docility, that means you easily taught. People can bring you anything and you pretty much just take it or accept it. You easily taught. Docile. So that's what they said. The people are going to yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hands. Now, this is the educational system. This is the educational system that they're setting up now. The rich and famous. The top 1%. John D. Rockefeller. He said, we shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or men of science. We are not to raise up among them officers of educators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statements of whom we have ampler supply. We got a lot of them, but we're not searching them out. This is not what we're trying to make or groom or create. This task we set before ourselves is very simple. They say it's simple. We will organize children to teach them in a perfect way to do things their mothers and fathers are doing in an imperfect way. Let's start with this educational system that these guys aim to set up. So who were they looking for? We named a whole lot of people, but they say that's not what they're looking for. They're not looking for these type of people. So what they were saying is the wealthy were saying, we do not want thinkers. We want workers who would never question us. We don't want thinkers. No, we want workers who would never question us. What a sad, sad thing. And the thing about it is they were bold enough to put it in writing. These are not my words. Mind you, this is the General Educational Board that was set up in 1903. Now, this is just for free. It doesn't sound to me like a racial thing. Because, we always, they throw us in this basket, in this bucket, and they stomp on us and keep their feet on our neck, the other man, how they keep us down and the things they do and how they formulate things to make it so difficult for us. Mind you, this is 1903 when they set this General Educational Board up. We just 38 years off the slaves being freed in 1865, 38 years later. So what kind of people were they talking about? Of course, they couldn't have been talking about us because we weren't even allowed to read anyway. They didn't want us reading and want us nowhere close to a book except what they gave us and told us how to say it and when to say it, what to believe and how to believe it. So we can't say this is a racial thing. We're going to throw that one straight out the door. So who was it intended for? This was a collective effort for the entire nation of people outside of the wealthy 1%. Can't you understand now why the other side that doesn't quite look like me or us, and they are impoverished? Can't you understand now why they got this great animosity against government and this top 1%? Oh, they might have their thoughts and their opinions when it comes to us as well. But trust me, this is far deeper. And I'm challenging you to see this through. Think it through. Was this just for us, or was this for a nation of people? Eventually, probably coming to be worldwide. The General Educational Board set up by JDR or John D. Rockefeller. Now, this was supposed to be for progress. Now, think about it. Progress for who? If they're trying to get people, not thinkers, so who were they looking for? Let's see. So the people they were looking for was people that would be obedient, predictable, and manageable. Workers who never question the system. We just said something. Workers who would never question the system. And guess what? They accomplished it in 2 decades. By 1920, it was all set in place. We haven't even made it to the silent generation yet. All this was set up from 1903 to 1920. A couple decades. We still rolling with the greatest generation. We working our way slowly to the silent generation from 1928 to 1945. So how does this affect my community? We were already up under oppression. So who did JDR or John D. Rockefeller intend it to be for? By 1920, nearly every public school in America was teaching the Rockefeller-approved curriculum. By 1920, every public school in America was teaching the Rockefeller-approved curriculum. By saying so, they had the same books, same subject, same testing methods that treated children like factory product. Factory product, factory, warehouse, manufacturing. Okay. Now, JDR, he also was the founder of Standard Oil. This dude was no one to play with. He was a single controlling entity, and he created Standard Industrial Trust. This, what else is they wanted? They was going to set up retail outlets and sales, distribution and transportation, manufacturing and assembly plants, processing and refining, raw material extraction. None of this is new, people. None of this is new. Let me tell you something. This man had a plan. He set it in place. He had a single controlling entity by creating all this stuff, the Standard Industrial Trust. This is what, now this is the Industrial Revolution. Well, the Industrial Revolution actually started in 1870, but here's the deal. That's 5 years after the release of the slave, but still they had a plan. They had a plan. What were they trying to create again? Remember, I already told you what they wasn't trying to create. They wasn't looking for these type of people in whom they said they had ample supply. We got many. That ain't what we're trying to create. We want workers. We want workers who would never question the system. The educational goal, mold the next generation thinking. The educational goals for this board would mold the next generation thinking. Industrialization created factories for those who were not independent thinkers. They created factories for those who were not independent thinkers. Remember now, they were molded to be this way. So, you know, Rockefeller, he started Standard Oil and he used it for controlling leverage. You know, that was a lot of power. He uses oil for controlling leverage. Well, he'll produce it when he wanted to produce it, and maybe when things wasn't going his way, he'll quit producing it. So at this time, they're trying to roll on over to machinery, you know, the railroad and all this stuff, and they needed that oil. So he used that for leverage. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. Standard Oil was, if you look at Standard Oil today, it's still, man, the Rockefellers are they untouchable. Let's just start with that. I am not denigrating the Rockefeller family. I'm just giving you the ideal this guy had and the plan he had to set up a system that'll set a certain group of people in place that will be in place almost looking like permanently. Okay, because I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna lay it down. And you may contest this, but check this out. You don't have to accept it. Truth don't need any help. It stands alone. truth doesn't need any help, man. It stands alone. So, I'm going to drop this truth on you, and then, you deal with it and however you like. So by creating this leverage, this is something else they were doing. They wanted to create a permanent dependent class of people. You hear that? They wanted to create a permanent dependent class of people. Had nothing to do with race. See what I'm saying? We're not even going there. This was for a whole other group of people. We just happen to integrate. I know the baby boomers understand that word. We happen to integrate into this system. We wanted to be in that system. It was set up for somebody else. Look at where we're going right now. I'm telling you. This thing's bigger than what you always thought it would be. So, we're talking about classical education and we're talking about basic knowledge. Classical education, basic knowledge. Okay, let's keep it rolling here. So this is some more things they did. They set up Ivy League colleges. They set up lawyers and put them in place to set educational laws. They certified all the teachers, screened them. That's after they did all the other work. So now they got lawyers setting up educational laws in place. They got these Ivy League colleges that will come into play pretty soon here. And maybe a couple of colleges, Columbia and Stanford, they was pretty much out of Chicago, and other colleges outside of Chicago. This is what else they did. They determined which books got published. Look at the way they just perfectly rolled through this and set this system up. They determined which books got published. Stay away from the race thing. We wasn't even in their schools at this time. So was John D. Rockefeller racist? Oh, he was just a racist. No, he set this up for people that look like maybe himself. We just wanted to what? Integrate into that system. Okay. So how did he end up determining which books got published? Because he worked with some of the major publishers. McGraw, Hill, Pearson Education, Houghton Mifflin, Harcourt. These were just a couple of the publishers that he chose to work with and fund by putting out the books that they chose would be put out, and what they chose would be taught. And remember this now, all this was listed on the Progress and Charity. Just think about it. Just think about it. All this was listed on the Progress and Charity. What kind of progress? Progress for who? You're not trying to create doctors. You're not trying to create lawyers. You're not trying to create statesmen or politicians. We just want average workers who don't do independent thinking. I can't make this up. I'm just rolling it out to you. Chew on it and digest it however you like. It doesn't sound too racist to me, though. We just wanted to integrate into the system. The system that John D. Rockefeller and his General Education Board decided they would set up. Keep it rolling. Okay. Before the 1900s, there was no curriculum for schools. They taught what was needed. Before the 1900s, remember the General Educational Board is 1903. Now, before the 1900s, there was no curriculum for school. They taught what was needed. which, like I said, was classical education, basic logic. Hmm? Does that sound familiar? Classical education, basic logic. That's what was being taught before 1903. Do we teach basic logic today in school? Think about it. I want you to think about a lot of things that we've been dealing with and hearing, and a lot of new stuff that has come across the board. Then you have the image in the White House said he's going to get rid of the whole Department of Education, and everybody in uproar. What you in uproar for? You got to understand. First, if you don't understand the system, you don't even know what to be mad about. It just sounds like something to be mad about. Oh my God, he is going to take away the Department of Education. Well, look who set it up, and look how it worked. Excuse me. I'm gonna keep it rolling anyway. You may as well take this, even if you take it with a grain of salt. You may as well take this. Because I'm going to keep bringing it at you. We're doing academia today. And then I'm going to cross on over. I'm going to go on over in the book and show you something. I know people like, well, we don't believe it. Believe what you want. Okay. Frederick Gate. This was the chief architect. He was the chief architect for JDR, John D. Rockefeller. Frederick Gates. Let's see what Frederick Gates wrote. Now, remember, this is in the annual report. And he's the chief architect for JDR. They wanted to create a permanent dependent class that would never compete with the ruling elite. The General Educational Board would train the peasantry to be happy and contented with their station in life. You know, when I say something like this, man, you know I have to run that back, read that again, so we can understand what was just said by Frederick Gates, the chief architect for JDR and the General Education Board. Look what, now this is in writing, this is not me. You can find this wherever you want it. This is what they had for the American public school system that was set up in 1903 that still operates today. Welcome to the present. Frederick Gates, they wanted to create a permanent dependent class that would never compete with the ruling elite. Huh? The ruling elite? A permanent dependent class? It's not racism. I'm telling you, because we wasn't integrated into their system yet. You understand why the impoverished people that don't look like us are so angry? Just as angry as you are for being oppressed and feel like a lot was taken away from you, which both could be true. And I'm not trying to downtrot or belittle the plight of the people that were enslaved in this country. I'm just trying to show you something that's a bigger picture. If you just be that critical thinker, if you just be that independent thinker that they did not want or try to train. He said the General Education Board would train the peasantry to be happy and content with their station in life. So how do you do that? Train them to be workers. They're going to go to work every day for us. Look, please don't be single-minded. And understand that I am not coming against a person that gets up and go to work every day. Don't do that. Don't do me like that, because I get up and go to work. We're going to determine and distinguish a difference, though, right here, because we're going to keep it rolling. You ever heard of John Dewey? If you've been listening to this channel, K and J, We've talked about John Dewey before. So Rockefeller funded John Dewey, and he was a progressive. He was in the progressive educational movement. John Dewey was in the progressive educational movement. You hear the word a lot today, progressive. You hear it a lot. And I'm going to tell you something about that word progressive. You better watch out. You better start looking through the cracks and seeing what progressive is all about and what they're actually saying when they're saying progressive. Like I'm going to progressively go somewhere. I'm going to progressively do this thing. So, yeah, John Dewey. Remember, I already told you about this guy. John Dewey is the father of the public education system. Father. See what I'm saying? And this is what he said in his own word quote. Every teacher should realize he is a public social servant set aside for the maintenance of proper social order and right social growth. Proper social order and right social growth. In this way, the teacher is always the prophet and the usherer of the true kingdom of heaven, a humanist. These people are acting moved as gods. Wow. Telling you, man, this thing way bigger than what you ever think. I'm talking about our educational system today because we still operate upon the same educational system. None of it has changed. All of it still set in order. Proof. Almost like an assembly line. This is the way they treat it. This is what we do. We move through grades. We move through grade schools by bells. We sit still. We have these rigid schedules. We absorb information without questioning it. We follow directions rather than creating problem solving. We have this social pressure to conform the ranking system that the conform ranking system created. Like we competing against each other in school. Who get the best school? Who get the best grade? Who is the best this? Who is the best that? We competing against each other. Then we have this. It's a form of artificial competition between students because it takes you nowhere. And then we have no independent thinking. I'm going to say it again. This is what was set up, and we still do it today. We move through the grades. The school bells ring, and we go. We sit still. We have these rigid schedules. We absorb information without questioning it. We follow directions rather than creating problem solving. We have these social pressures to conform in the ranking system, creating an artificial competition between the students. And then we have no independent thinking. All this was for a reason. My good people, all of this was for a reason. It was for the wealthy. Now let's check this out. At the same time, parallel to this general education board that was set up, they also had another setup, a private school system. Private school system set up for who? Oh, this private school system was set up for the children of the wealthy. The children of the wealthy. And remember, before 1903, people. I mean, the school system was fine. There was no you had no mandatory. Like they got you is school. Public school today is mandatory. If you don't send your kid to school, you're going to jail. And a lot of people are like, well, that's a good thing. Okay, fine. Look, I'm not contesting. Look. Don't get this twisted out. I'm trying to show you something. I want you to be the independent thinker. I want you to be the critical thinking. I want you to think logically. Prior to 1903, the school system was not mandatory. Not to say that they didn't have it, they had it. But remember what they taught? They taught classical education and basic logic. And the do's and the don'ts here and there. Okay. Even they taught even when they taught math, it was said that they taught just enough math for one to balance their checkbook. It might be a little different today, just a little bit. You know, they then tweaked it a little bit because you some things you have to camouflage it. It can't be so broad. It can't be so broad, so clearly seen. This thing has to come up under the gun, right? Now, here we go. They had a school parallel to the school system they had already set up, which was called private school. Of course, the only people that could go to the private schools were the children of the wealthy. The wealthy being who? Like the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, Carnegie, the same 1% that's in rule today. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Now, what was going on in these private schools? I wonder, was it anything like this guy, Frederick Gates, called them the peasants? I wonder were they treated as peasants? And I wondered that they wanted to be classified as forever dependent on a system. Okay. This is what they taught in the private schools, my friend. They taught Latin, Greek, philosophy, advanced math, rhetoric. They produced lawyers, doctors, politicians, business owners. All the opposite taught in the private school. Everybody else taught away from that. We need you to be, we need your schooling for these tradesmen or vocational experiences that you have. Or this profession we want you in. We groomed you to be who we want you to be. We don't want any politicians out of that group over there. No statesmen, no doctors, no lawyers, no philosophers, and on. Now, remember, I read it to you earlier, what they said they were not trying to get. And they said they had ample supply, but they don't want that. We are molding you with our hands to be something different. A person that never questioned the system. Just do what we say, go through this grade system, go through this, go through that. And then, after all of this, go to work. Go get you a job. And work for who? The one that were taught Latin, Greek, philosophy, the one that were taught advanced math, rhetoric, the ones where they produce lawyers, doctors, politicians, and business owners. Okay, I know when I do that, it's just something. And if you just think about it, even from 1913 to 1936, man, that'll be rolling on into the silent generation. Most of the three-letter industries, I mean, you know, these three-letter groups were set up, like the RIS, the IMF, and we can go on with all those three letters, and I'm not going to do that right now. However, we just going to keep it rolling. Let's do that. Because the more I think about it, it's something else. I mean, in private school, they taught leadership, critical thinking, classical knowledge, and then, and they taught people to produce compliant workers. They taught people to produce compliant workers. To work where? In our warehouses, in our factories, in our refineries, in our assembly plants, in our, Man, there was a guy by the name of, B.F. Skinner. He was also funded by JDR. B.F. Skinner. You ever heard of B.F. Skinner? B.F. Skinner was an American psychologist. And he did some weird things, man. And he did some pretty strenuous things when it came to experimenting and on human behavior. That's what he was really, really, really. He was big on human behavior. You know, I think he was the one that were doing this experiment with the mouse, and he put the mouse in this controlled environment, and he put the food for the mouse in there with the mouse, and it was a lever that would release a pellet or a grain of food for the mouse to eat. Once the mouse came across that lever and he pulled it, and that food came out and he ate, it became repetitious. So what he did was he figured out, if I pull this lever, I'll be able to eat. Same thing. Okay. All right. All I need right now is my independent thinkers. That's all I need. I need my independent thinkers. If I pull this lever, I'll get something to eat. I'll get just enough to eat, because only one go. Look, check this out. When he pulled the lever, all the food didn't come out. Just one, a pellet. Enough for him to eat at that moment. If I go to work, I'd be able to buy something to eat. Okay, let me go on. My bad. I ain't mean to say that, y'all. My bad. My bad. I didn't mean to say that, because we got to work. What they say, the scripture say, if a man don't work, he don't eat. Yeah, naturally so. True. What about the spiritual side? Work how? Eat what? Eat, learn, feast, eat, learn, work. Okay. I want to deal with just some key points, and then we're going to keep it moving here. I'm going to go to something else. But you guys think about it. That Frederick Skinner guy, he came up with the behavior system that still we live off today. That behavior system I told you about, how you get rewarded. If you do something, you normally get rewarded for it. That's the thing. Get up and do something, you'll get rewarded. You may not get everything you want or all that you want at that particular time, but we'll give you something. We'll give you enough to survive until you pull the lever again, until you clock in again. Well, okay. Let's do this. I want to go through some key points now. We're going to deal with some key points. Key point. Education was seen as the culture of wisdom and virtue before the 1900s. That's the way education was seen. That's the way it was seen. Yeah. So take that one and roll with that. Yeah, so we established that education was seen as the culture of wisdom and virtue before the 1900s. That's the way it was viewed. Afterwards, education became job training. Okay. Success was measured by employability, not enlightenment. Now, you tell me success today is not... You tell me today that success is not measured by employability. Oh, yes, it is. Do you have a high school diploma? Do you have a college degree? Do you have any kind of vocational training? Do you have GED? So success is measured by your employability. And that's what they set up. That's how they set it up. Civics taught children how government actually worked, critical thinking, debating political philosophies, and they studied the federal papers. All of this now before the 1900s. Civics. Don't even talk about civics in government today, although everybody talk politics, man. Everybody got these political points and political ideologies and political views. Have you ever dove into civics or government and understand how this thing actually work and function? Well, prior to the 1900s, that's what they were taught. They taught how government actually worked. They were taught. You can't do that right now. They don't want you to know how government actually works. See, you start opposing government. They don't want you opposing government. They want you agreeing, and they don't want you. They want no resistance. They don't want you doing that. So get off the civics, and we are off the civics. Drop this one on you for free. 1900s, nearly 40% of Americans were self-employed. JDR can't make no money like that. Everybody's self-employed. The top 1%, man, they can't create these businesses and continue to get rich if everybody's self-employed. No, can't do that. In the 1900s, this was right before they even started recording generations. Maybe that's why they started recording it. In 1901 to 1927, we got the greatest generation. They called it the greatest generation. Maybe they wanted it to be the greatest generation because of what they came up with. They came up with all these fabulous and creative and wonderful goals and systems that set in place that still work and operate today. My good people. 1900, nearly 40% of Americans were self-employed. By the 1950s, that turned to 18%. See it working? Did it start working? Because by this time, no one is self-employed. Most of the people going to work now. They got a trade. They working for who? The wealthy. They working for their wealthy kids, the doctors and the lawyers, the philosophers, the business creators. And they taught people how to comply. They taught people, they produced compliant workers, remember? So by 1950, that nearly 40% of self-employed people turned to 18%. Now, present today, it's below 10%. Now you tell me that the General Educational Board did not go to work. They went to work. And 100 years later, they still got the same thing going. Oh, this is not made to be look bad or anything. Remember, we just educating your children and your people. We just took your children out of your house and made it mandatory for them to go to public school, or else you're going to jail. And we taught them just enough to go get maybe a degree from the college that we want them. And at the end of the day, they still gonna only make what we allow them to make. It's a set thing. You tell me that your salary is not set. I did it again. I know they blew into the mic, man, but I'm telling you, I have to release sometimes when I look at this and do this, because sometimes I can feel the thoughts of people. I can sense your thought sometimes. And you probably like, where is he going with this? He talking like this is a bad thing. It may not be bad. Remember, Joshua say the poor we will have with us always. Oh, yes, he did say that. He said that. He said the poor we will have with us always. He didn't say just for a little while. Right now, being that I'm talking this academia stuff and I'm making it to be naturally so poor. But boy, are we also poor spiritually. That's a subject for another day. I was going through some of these key points here. I think I just really should just keep going through the key points. Let's just do that. But you remember that the poor we will have with us always. Now, independent farming was 41% in the early in the 1900s. Before JDR them set this system up that we live in today, independent farming in America was up 41%. That's almost half the people in the country did their own farming. You can't make no money like that. Not in the JDR system that he's trying to set up. We need you to go to the grocery store. What do you think independent farming is today? Let me break the news. It's less than 2%. So there's a certain group of people that farm everything that you get from the store. See it working? You go to work, you get your check, you go to the store, you purchase. You're not doing any farming. You see how they broke this system down? Oh, remember now, this was for progress. And it was a charitable contribution now from JDR. Remember, hey, but at the same time, everything that he had in mind setting up, did a wonderful job. That General Education Board they were some bad men. Man, they got that thing together. They got those lawyers together. They set all those educational laws in place, man. They did all this stuff, man. They got the right textbooks. Everybody had read from the same textbook. They had the same program, like assembly line all over the country. Everybody did the same thing. Was it a racial thing? Well, I would say no, because we wasn't integrated yet. The baby boomers hadn't started marching and say, we want to go to the same schools that y'all go to. We want to be treated just like y'all. We want to be workers too. We don't want to be independent thinkers either. We don't want to grow our own food. We don't do none of that. We don't want to be self-employed. We don't want to own our own businesses. We want to go to work. We want to go to school with you. We want to work beside you at the assembly plant, in the factories. Man, I can't make this up, man. I'm going to keep going. People own nothing and depended on corporations for survival. That's where we are today. Most people own nothing and depend on corporations for their survival. If your company closed shop today, your standard of living goes down. If you don't go get another job, it's over. You could end up homeless in the streets, on drugs, a thief, a murderer, a liar, a deceiver, a manipulator, and all of the above. That's where we are. Keep it real. Keep it real. If your place of business where you go and get your money from closes up today, what would you do? So we that own nothing, we depend on corporations for our survival. That can even roll in the high ranks. If you work for a major law firm and it shuts down, you probably you're more employable. Remember, but that's what they wanted. That's what success is measured by, your employability. You can still probably go and join another law firm, but would it be equivalent to that large law firm where you lost? Or did you start your own private practice? Self-employed. Okay, what is this doing? What does this do? What is the General Education Board and this system that we presently live on and operate on it today? What did it do? It produced compliant workers, not critical thinkers, not rebels, no visionaries, just workers. I'm not making this up, and you know I'm not making it up. And I'm more than happy to bring this to you and not attach racism to it. I'm more than happy. I'm one of the oppressed that's been oppressed, but I can tell you right now that this is way bigger, I'm going to tell you again, than what you may imagine. Because if you're just thinking racism, you lost because we hadn't integrated yet. It started affecting us after we integrated and went to their schools. You remember those two little girls went to their school and those people spat on them and threatened them, and they had to get they put their life on the line. They put their family life on the line to integrate into a system that was set up by JDR and his people that wasn't even intended for us. Isn't that just wonderful? And you talking about the oppressed? There's some people around here that don't look like us. They're oppressed too. Why do you think they run around with that flag? And you think that flag is about you? You know what flag I'm talking about too. That flag with the X and the stars in it. You know what I'm talking about? And you always think everything is about you. Everything ain't always about you. This ain't way bigger. This is a world thing. This is a spiritual warfare. This is a spiritual battle. It didn't just come for us. It come for all. It's two sides, good and evil. That's it. Just like the system is creating two classes of people, rich or poor. I can keep bringing this out to you over and over and over. I don't know when you will finally get it, but I'll keep bringing it anyway. Now remember this. This is the school system. Sit down, be quiet. Remember this. Produce it on the test. Forget it. Move on to the next unit or the next grade. Graduate. Get a job. Work until you're gone. Y'all want to go through that one again? I'm going to roll through that one again. This is how the system operates. Sit down, be quiet, memorize this, produce it on the tests, forget it, move on to the next unit or the next grade, graduate, get a job, work until you're gone. Okay, go ahead, fight against it, contest it. Fight against that. Because it's hitting back harder. You can hit it, but it's hitting you back harder. Yeah. A part of the system. Whether you black or you white. JDR didn't care. Especially for the black people. You guys weren't even allowed to go yet to the system that they set up. You remember you had to fight? You remember? I just told you had to fight to get in those schools that was set up. Teach you how to get a trade. Teach you the bare minimum. Even math. Now, like I said, they taught math, man. to the basic bare minimum, just enough for you to balance your checkbook. And you look at this guy right here. I want y'all to check this guy out. He was talking about this father that was trying to help his daughter do this math problem. And he was talking about the way that he remembered doing it and the way that they do it today. This is just a shame.
Y'all need to look at this. So this right here is the original way that we learned how to do multiplication, subtraction, stuff like that. This parent shows how the kids now are being taught this. Let's look at this.
So the problem is 57 plus 25. The way we were taught was 7 plus 5 is 12. So the 2 goes here.
Bring up
and
the
1 goes up there. 5
Add
plus
it all together.
2 is 7. Plus 1 is 8.
Smooth.
Boom.
Simple.
Done. The way they're teaching her
Look at this.
is you get your 57 plus 25. There's 7 ones plus 5 tens, so it's a 50. 25. 5 ones plus 2 tens. So 7 plus 5 is 12. But we got to break the 12 apart into 2 ones and 1 10. 50 plus 20 is 70.
I'm
So
lost.
70
I'm still lost.
plus the 10 is 80. Plus the 2 is 82. That's the way they're teaching her how to do something simple. They turned this into this.
This is my second time watching that video, and I'm still confused on one, why and how do you do this? It makes no sense that you made this that complicated. Not the guy recording, but the way that they're teaching it. Like, why did you make something so simple so complicated? I still don't know how to do it, and I don't care to figure it out. This is y'all, our kids is going through this right now. I just want to let y'all know that. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like and follow for more.
Check this out. Now, I know that should have made you laugh. That should have made you laugh. Did you check it out? Okay. Man, I don't want no parts of that, trying to figure that out the way they was doing it. Like he said, I ain't even trying to do that much. I'm good. But this is the educational system that we live in today, and it's getting worse. I was talking to the millennial on our last post, man, Fred. He was talking about how he homeschooled his kids, and right now today, you know, the public education arena, those people that's in power, they will discourage you away from homeschooling because they'll say it's more like a disaster. It'll break the system, and we'll all be whatever they put that, when you know that, throw that fear on top of it, and we get scared. Oh yeah, that's the boogeyman. You telling the truth. We need to go to school. We need to do this and all that. Well, prior to the 1900s, we had more inventors, more innovators than we ever have today. Every now and then we run across the Elon Musk and all that, and then he got some of his work studying the work that was before the 1900s, my good friend. Let's not play, because I don't come here to play. I'm bringing the receipts. Homeschool. This is what homeschool doing, because Fred said he was schooling his 2 girls because he didn't want them indoctrinated. He didn't want them teaching what they teaching at these schools today. What they teaching kids has nothing to do with education. To remember to groom you to go get a job anyway. So while they groom you to go get a job, they're trying to tell you what you can and what you can't do, how you accept this person, how you accept that person. They're not teaching you even the bare minimum math and reading and science. They're teaching you all this other stuff. They got all these agendas nowadays in school. So homeschooling. Let me share something with you about homeschooling. The homeschool child score 15 to 30% higher on the standardized tests. These are the standardized tests that the General Educational Board set up. The SAT tests, man, and all these IQ tests, and they set all this stuff up. They set all this stuff up. You remember, to go by ratings. This is how they're going to rate you. And then they're going to place you in places where they think you should be. And some kind of way you navigate into that area. You know, homeschool kids score 15 to 30% higher on standardized testing, and they have higher college GPAs. Homeschool kids. Yes. It's a difficult job. The system will come against you though all day long if you try to homeschool. Because they want your kids. They don't want you teaching your kids anything. They want your kids. We're coming after your kids. We're coming for your kids. I'm just here to tell you. This is real talk, man. And they're more civically engaged. They know way more about government than what they're teaching in school, because they teach you lies now. Yeah, they teach you lies. Like right now today, man, they talking about, they trying to take our vote away from us. They trying to take us back to Jim Crow. They love to scream Jim Crow, man. And then people jump on the bandwagon when they hear the word Jim Crow. We love this racist stuff, man. You know, it just stimulates. That's the only thing that stimulates our thinking in a negative way, I'll say. But, you know, they're going to take our votes away, the votes that the baby boomers fought so hard for and marched for and get the right for, while everybody else benefit off of it, and we get nothing from it anyway still today as we speak. And then they're asking our college students to not go to SEC colleges. They always want something for nothing, and they give nothing, absolutely nothing. And then they want you to sacrifice. They just started paying college students, and especially athletes. And for them to keep their job, they want you to sacrifice your expense. I mean, what you work for. I know it sounds like I'm contradicting what I said, but still at the end of the day, just the system is set in place. What you going to do about it? Ain't much you can do about it. Most times you got to operate within the system to make it work better for you and your family. So if you want to go to work every day and get that good job, fine and dandy. I'm good with that. I'm all right with that. But if you want to be a business creator and determine what you're going to make and determine where your family going to go be once it's all said and done, that's on you as well. I can tell you what. Before the 1900s, critical thinkers, innovators were produced at a much higher rate before the GEB, or the General Board of Education. Critical thinkers and innovators were produced at a much higher rate. And how do I know that? I just said it. Most of everything that was invented that we live off today was invented within the last 120, 130 years. Past, and a lot of that came past the 1900s. So all our creative, innovative thinkers were really actually then, because they were independent thinkers. Yes, independent thinkers. So I said all of that to say this. The Rockefeller system is still working today. It's still working today. And I want to say this to the people that don't have the college degrees and the people that don't have the vocational skills. 17% of the richest people in this country are entrepreneurs. A smaller percent of those people are doctors and lawyers, maybe in the 1% to 2%, no higher than 3%. The 1% that's always been in charge and always been in wealthiest are still in charge and still the wealthiest. But all the new people that break into the millionaire brackets and higher are entrepreneurs, 17%. So for those that didn't go to college and don't have the trade, it's all right to question why one may think college speaks to one's intelligence. It's all right to question why one may think college speaks to one's intelligence. That's not always the case. We have people in place now that have all kind of degrees, don't have a lick of basic knowledge. All kind of degrees have not yet been introduced to classical education. I'm going to leave that with you for those that didn't go to college and the ones that don't have the vocational skills. Of course, you still might be going to that warehouse. You might be going to that factory. You might be going to that assembly plant. The system was designed and made to be that way, and we're caught up in it. It was not a racist act. This was a power play for the top working class. And the peasant or the peasantry, find your own way. Feudalism. I just threw a word out at you. A system. Feudalism. Maybe I should leave it right there. So, your education used to be measured on virtue, but now it's obedience over virtue. What do I mean by obedience? Remember I said, go to school, sit down, move when that bell rings. Don't question anything I say. Everything I give you, put it back on the test. Forget about it. Move to the next unit. Graduate. Get a job. Work. And then you're out of here. I can tell you something right here. I've been going on, but I want to lay this out to you. And I want to do it in a way that hopefully you will be able to understand what I'm actually trying to convey here. I'm not coming against working. I'm not coming against education. I'm just showing you why we are where we are today, how we came to be in this place where we are. I think that's all right to do and all right to know and understand and give you a better chance at maybe changing some things, especially if you're a Gen Zer or a millennial and you think you got time on your side. You can change a few things. This is the opportunity. That's why I brought it to you. Gen Xers, baby boomers, you have a chance too. It's never too late. As long as you got breath in your lungs, or they say breath in your body, then you got a chance. I want to read something to you right quick. This is from the scriptures. Yeah. People say, well, he don't read the scriptures too much anymore. Well, you know, like I said, I try to roll with the way I feel, the way I'm being led, the things that come to me when I'm meditating. This is just an analysis. Nothing new under the sun. All old news. All old news. Go to Daniel, the first chapter. This is an incident where Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, a wicked king, but also called God's servant. How does that go together? Figure it out. A wicked king, but God's servant. In other words, he did as he was directed to do and what he was designed to do. And that was to oppress the Israelites, take them into bondage up in his nation and rule over them. King Nebuchadnezzar. This is Daniel, the first chapter. I'm going to start at verse 3. I know I've been going for a while, but I don't do this all the time. So if you get tired, cut it off, come back, check out the rest. So let's keep it rolling anyway. I'm going to start the 3rd chapter. And the king spoke unto Ipanaz, the master of his units, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed and of the princes. The king's seed. The king at that time that was in charge of the Israelites, Jehoiakim, and all just certain men of the Israelites and the princes, which are rulers. The king Nebuchadnezzar, he told his master unit, go get them. And then these are the children that he was looking for in verse 4, Daniel 1 and 4. Children in whom has no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning of the tongue of the Chaldeans. See? Nothing new under the sun. This is King Nebuchadnezzar. Go get them Israelites, the one that's highly favored, no blemishes, man. They skillful in wisdom. They smart as I don't know what. They cunning in knowledge. They got all this. They got understanding of science, see? And such abilities to them, they stand in, and with these people that got these abilities, they can stay in the king's palace or the president's White House. But I need them here to teach other men. I need them here to teach other men the tongues of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before him. Now the king, he done got these people. They already cunning. He'd already told you everything he done told you everything they are. These are men of they got understanding of science, they cunning in wisdom, they skillful in all kind of wisdom, and cunning in knowledge. But this is what the king wanted to do. He wanted to get them a provision of the king's meat. My word, the king's word. JDR, John D. Rockefeller. And I'm gonna give them my wine to drink. The faith, the thing that I believe, what I have faith in. This is what they're going to teach, because they got to drink it. So they're going to teach this to regurgitate. This is the knowledge. I want them to have a provision of the king's meat. I'm finna give them something different, but I still need them to regurgitate this and teach a people. Now I'm going to the 8th verse. I'm still in Daniel 1. It says, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine in which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the prince of the unit that he may not defile himself. Daniel wants no part of it. Here go Daniel again. Daniel, that stand-up man, something else. Daniel wants no part of it. He don't want to defile himself with the king's meat or the king's word, the king's teachings. I don't want that. But shall we integrate into their schools? We want to go to the same schools. MLK. We're going to march for that. We want civil rights. We want to be able to eat in the restaurants where they eat. See, this thing was already set in place. We just wanted to be in it. Daniel said, no, I don't want no parts of the king's meat. I don't want to eat in the restaurant with the king. I don't want to learn with the king. I don't want to sit in the schoolroom with the king. Daniel said, I will not defile myself. Verse 9 says, now God brought Daniel in favor and tender love with the prince of the unit. When the Most High saw that Daniel had that stance and took that stance, Daniel gained more favor with the Most High. Okay. Let's just keep it rolling. Verse 10, and the prince of the unit said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed your meat and your drink. For why you should he see your faces worsen like the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. The eunuch say, no, Daniel, you got to learn this stuff, man. You got to eat this stuff, man. You got to drink this wine. You got to come on with this new thing, this new faith that the king has brought to you, man. You got to put away all that other stuff that you were said to be, cunning in knowledge and skillful in wisdom. You got to put all that away. We need you to come over here and join the General Education Board. Man, I can't make this up. Okay, for those that don't read the scriptures, I'm cool with you not reading the scriptures, man. I'm telling you, ain't nothing new under the sun. Man, you can look in this, whether you believe it or not, and get you can get something out of it. And if you can't do that, then find your way. My sister, my brother, that's fine with me. Find your way. But once you begin to understand the spiritual understandings of a lot of these words, then maybe you might start to change your mind about some of this. I know it's the white man book. I can't get past this one, man. I love it. You read a white man book every day. The General Educational Board, they chose all the textbooks that you read. They chose what was going to be published. McGraw-Hill, remember? And Pearson, remember them? Houghton Mifflin. They decided what was going to get published in the book. Did you go to school? Well, you read white man's book to get your diploma. So you may as well read this white man book that I'm continuing to quote out of. You believe what they taught you in the other white man's book once you integrate it into their schools. So let's stick with this white man book right now that I'm reading. The man said, Daniel, you got to do this. You're going to get me in trouble with the king. Man, Donald Trump going to cut my head off. I mean, no, you two don't take that one. I'm just talking. The man said that he was in fear of his life if Daniel did not eat and drink a portions of the king's meat. His words. Drink the wine. Cross over to his faith, his believing. In other words, join the General Education Board. Come on, Daniel. You're going to get me in trouble if you don't do this. And verse 12 says, I'm still in Daniel 1. I ain't going nowhere. I'm just going through Daniel 1. I'm in verse 12. Now it say, prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let him give us pulse to eat and water to drink. My own doctrine that I'm going to learn and drink from. Just give me 10 days. Verse 13 say, then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and thou shalt see it. Deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter and proved them 10 days. He allowed it. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer. Their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portions of the king's meat. Those other people, they were sitting over on that General Educational Board, man, they was over there with all that deceit and defiling themselves. because they was going to teach the people lies and deceits and all untruths. You remember? Teach them the Chaldean tongue. Okay, so you're going to learn how to speak like us, talk like us, look like us, be like us. Once you integrate and become us, yeah, let's integrate. Same school. I remember getting bused to a school, man. By the time I got there, man, most of the other people that was already at that school, they say, no, we're not going to stay here while they bringing these jokers here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I had a great experience at that school. We was integrating in. Oh, yeah, that was the best part of life. Okay. So, at the end of the 10 days, they was fair. They look better. And then, okay, so thus, this is the 16th verse. Thus, Mezar took away the portions of their meat and the wine that they should drink and gave them pulse. So now he say, man, these jokers, here's something else, man. These jokers are critical thinkers, man. These jokers innovative, man. Man, this classical education thing going on, man, these jokers got basic logic. You know, all the stuff they said up top. Remember when they was counting in knowledge, outstanding in science, you know what I'm saying? And they were skillful in wisdom. Okay, all that, but that's what I just said. That's what I had just said. You know, up there where they said that in verse 4. I had just said that thing, you know. Man, these jokers something else, man. Classical education, man. Basic knowledge. Innovative, man. Critical thinkers, man. Independent thinkers, man. Let me tell you, man, these jokers are something else. So we're going to let them roll. Y'all ain't got to get on the board. Plus, y'all don't want to be on the board anyway. So, this is the result of that in verse 17. As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Daniel had visions, dreams, because they decided not to integrate into that system. God gave them knowledge and skill and learning, and all learning and wisdom. In other words, all that I have already given you, you got that because that's what you wanted. Now, all this other stuff over here, guess what? I'm going to give you skill in all learning. See, you're going to learn the Chaldean tongue now. That way you know how to deal with them. Did I sneak something in on you? That way you know how to deal with them in your dealings. And the king communed with them. This is 19. And the king, which is Nebuchadnezzar, he communed with them. And among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all manner of wisdom and understanding, the king inquired of them. He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in his realm. Because they didn't want no parts of it, man. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. See, their names were changed. Daniel's name was changed to Belteshazzar. But just saying that was just in the Chaldean tongue. And the other guys I just named, they were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. See, you familiar with those names, especially the Bible readers. You know, those other names, they probably threw you for a twist. But I'm here to tell you, the General Education Board did what it needed to do. And I was just showing you ain't nothing new up under the sun. I was also trying to convey to you that it was we who wanted to integrate into that system. It was not a racist system toward us. It was a system for the elite and the peasants. Feudalism. So, we just happened to integrate into a system that was set in place to eventually become a world system, a world government. by JDR, John D. Rockefeller. Wonderful work he put together because it's still working today. Just as LBJ said that we will be voting one way if he did a certain thing, it's still working today. There has to be a group of people that say, I will not defile myself with the king's meat. I do not want any parts of his doings. Do not want any parts of whatever he says supposed to be progress and charity. Intended for all peasants. If you will not rule in the upper echelon or the elite. You can find another channel to talk about racism. I'm just here to talk to you about a world system while we get distracted with the racism, getting our emotions. They stealing our votes. They trying to take our votes away. You think it's all about you all the time. For there's another group of people that's being oppressed that you don't even share with. Okay, they got privileges, certain privileges, but you can find just as many poor in their community as you can in our community. They just happen not to suffer the atrocities that we did. But the system that's ruling on our head is also ruling on theirs. I got no racism tied up in this. It was us that wanted to be a part of the system that JDR set up, the General Education Board, 1903 to present. Thank you. This has been good. It was longer, and I understand. I don't post as much, so I'm going as I'm led. Sometimes you need to get more. Think about it more. Look at it more. On our next post, man, guess what we got coming? We got us a Gen X. So it's a borderline Gen X right there at the door, maybe 1 year removed. But I'm classifying as a crossover from a baby boomer to a Gen Xer. That's going to be on our next post. We'll guess. I'm looking forward to having him. We're going to start getting it set up. And our millennial talk was great. If you guys saw that writing at the end of the millennial post, the misconception and misunderstood millennials, then you will see a writing at the very end of that post. That writing right there was done exclusively, originally by Kay, because I'm just going to share something with you because she's very reserved and she's not a forefront and try to be out there. That's why you guys still haven't seen her yet. But trust me, she exists because every time you see a post of ours, it was her that made it happen through the editing. So here's the deal. This is more than likely, we're going to deal with that writing she did at the end because she's also a poet. She's a writer. And I mean, a good writer. And that writing, when I read it for the first time, it made me think. And that's what I am. I'm a thinker, critically thinking. Poet sometimes is hard to decipher. It's almost like when people say they read the scriptures, they don't understand it. But the writer always understand what they put on it, what they penned on the paper. So we're going to take her writing. It's going to be, and within the next few posts, we're going to take her writing and we're going to dissect it. And I've been trying to encourage her to be at that, be on the post with us so we can pick her brain as far as her thinking when she was doing the writing. However, if she chooses not to, then I'll just give my commentary on what I get out of her writing. But I tell you, it was wonderfully written. That young lady is extremely talented, and I keep telling she need to stick with that writing. That's a gift. When you get a gift, a talent, you exercise it. That be the thing that gets you to the next level. But we choose sometimes the easy way out if we don't go with our talent, and we do the other thing. That other thing that the General Educational Board taught us to do, which is go get a education and a diploma or degree, and just go to work and work, and retire and sit down, and it's over. But anyway, we're going to do that. Looking for our next post. It's going to be an Xer. We're dealing with Gen Xers. We did Gen Z, we did Millennial, we're doing the Xer, and we'll end it off with a baby boomer. This time we covered from the silent generation on, man. We never dealt with the silent generation too much. We never dealt with the greatest generation, but a lot of things happened back then that affect our lives today, and I just dropped some of it on you. Thank you for tuning in. We want you to like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Please like. And you don't have to come in. Come in if you like, but like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell other people about it, share, and that's way we're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep doing this journey. As I learn, as I grow, as I get and understand, I'll be more than excited to share with you guys. That's my intent. That's the purpose for this particular channel here. You grow as we grow. You learn as we learn. Some of the stuff I hold back on, and then some of the stuff I have to be felt like I'm led to share. And this could be something that you can think about. And I know that it probably sound like I was coming against education, in which I'm not. And it might sound like I was coming against going to work, which I'm not. That's why I'm asking you to be a critical thinker and just think about what was just presented. You understand better how we're here, how we got here. And not just one group of people, all people. And by the way, the United States is very low as far as the ranking when it comes to education. Man, there's so many other countries that pass us when it comes to education. Man, we supposed to be one of the most powerful countries on the planet, but we beginning to be one of the most uneducated. So let's find something different. Let's find something new. Let's be that innovative person. Let's be that independent thinker. Let's be that critical thinker. Come on. We can do it. It's in us. We're no different than Daniel. Thank you. Check out K-Meal of the Day. Probably going to do something different rather than a mystery building. I want you to check it out, though, at the end of the post. We can't thank you guys enough. And we're looking forward to our next post. Our Gen Xer will be coming up. And until then, I would like to say to all of you guys, as I say always, what the flux. I'm out of here.